Hi everybody, and welcome back to our Percy Jackson reading. The last time we were together, Percy and Annabeth rescued Ares' shield, and then they were headed off out of Denver. And I believe they just were running across the street to get in the truck with animals. So that's where we are going to pick up. Ready? The first thing that hit me was the smell. It was like the world's biggest pan of kitty litter. The trailer was dark inside until I uncapped Riptide. The blade cast a faint bronze light over a very sad scene. Sitting in a row of filthy metal cages were three of the most pathetic zoo animals I had ever beheld. A zebra, a male albino lion, and some weird antelope thing that I didn't know the name for. Someone had thrown the lion a sack of turnips, which he obviously didn't want to eat. The zebra and the antelope had each gotten a styrofoam tray of hamburger meat. The zebra's mane was matted with chewing gum, like somebody had been spitting on it in their spare time. The antelope had a stupid silver birthday balloon tied to one of his horns that read, "Over the hill." Apparently, nobody had wanted to get close enough to the lion to mess with him. But the poor thing was pacing around on soiled blankets in a space way too small for him, panting from the stuffy heat of the trailer. He had flies buzzing around his pink eyes, and his ribs showed through his white fur. "This is kindness," Grover yelled. "Humane zoo transport?" He probably would have gone right back outside to beat up the truckers with his reed pipes, and I would have helped him. But just then the truck engine's light roared to life, and the trailer started shaking. We were forced to sit down or fall down. We huddled in the corner on some mildew feed sacks, trying to ignore the smell and the heat and the flies. Grover talked to the animals in a series of goat bleats, but they just stared at him sadly. Annabeth was in favor of breaking the cages and freeing them on the spot, but I pointed out it wouldn't do much good until the truck stopped moving. Besides, I had a feeling we might look a lot better to the lion than those turnips. I found a water jug and refilled their water bowls, then used Riptide to drag the mismatched food out of their cages. I gave the meat to the lion and the turnips to the zebra and antelope. Grover calmed the antelope down, while Annabeth used her knife to cut the balloon off his horn. She wanted to cut the gum out of the zebra's mane too, but we decided that would be too risky with the truck bouncing around. We told Grover to promise the animals we'd help them more in the morning. Then we settled in for the night. Grover curled up on a turnip sack. Annabeth opened our bag of double-stuffed Oreos and nibbled on one half-heartedly. I tried to cheer myself up by concentrating on the fact that we were halfway to Los Angeles, halfway to our destination. It was only June 14th. The solstice wasn't till the 21st. We would make it in plenty of time. On the other hand, I had no idea what to expect next. The gods kept toying with me. At least Hephaestus had the decency to be honest about it. He had put up cameras and advertised me as entertainment. But even when the cameras weren't rolling, I had a feeling my quest was being watched. I was a source of amusement for the gods. "Hey," Annabeth said. "I am sorry for freaking out back at the water park, Percy." "That's okay. She shuddered. "Spiders." "Because of the Arachne story, I guessed. She got turned into a spider for challenging your mom into a weaving contest, right?" Annabeth nodded. "Arachne's children have been taking revenge on the children of Athena ever since. If there's a spider within a mile of me, it'll find me. I hate the creepy little things. Anyway, I owe you." "We're a team, remember," I said. "Besides, Grover did the fancy flying." I thought he was asleep, but he mumbled from the corner. "I was pretty amazing, wasn't I?" Annabeth and I laughed. She pulled apart an Oreo and handed me half. "In the Iris message, did Luke really say nothing?" "Annabeth," I munched on my cookies and thought about how to answer. The conversation via Rainbow had bothered me all evening. Luke said you and he go way back. He said Grover wouldn't fail this time. Nobody would turn into a pine tree. In the dim bronze light of the sword blade, it was hard to read their expressions. Grover let out a mournful bray. "I should have told you the truth from the beginning," his voice trembled. "I thought if you knew I was a failure, you wouldn't want me along." "You were the satyr who tried to rescue Talia, the daughter of Zeus?" He nodded glumly. And the other two half-bloods Talia befriended, the ones who got safely to camp? I looked at Annabeth. That was you and Luke, wasn't it? She put down her Oreo uneaten. Like you said, Percy, a 7-year-old half-blood wouldn't have made it very far alone. Athena guided me towards help. Talia was 12 and Luke was 14. They had both run away from home, like me. They were happy to take me with them. They were amazing monsters fighters, even without training. We traveled north from Virginia without any real plans, fending off monsters for about 2 weeks before Grover found us. I was supposed to escort Talia to camp, he said, sniffling. Only Talia. I had strict orders from Sharon. Don't do anything that would slow down the rescue. We knew Hades was after her, see, but I couldn't just leave Luke and Annabeth by themselves. I thought I could lead all 3 of them to safety. It was my fault the kindly ones caught up to us. I froze. I got scared on the way back to camp and took some wrong turns. If I had just been a little quicker. Stop it, Annabeth said. No one blames you. Talia didn't blame you either. She sacrificed herself to save us, he said miserably. Her death was my fault. The Council of Cloven Elders said so. Because you wouldn't leave 2 other half-bloods behind? I said. That's not fair. Percy's right, Annabeth said. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for you, Grover. Neither would Luke. We don't care what the council says. Grover kept sniffing in the dark. It's just my luck. I'm the lamest satire ever. I find the 2 most powerful half-bloods of the century, Talia and Percy. You're not lame, Annabeth insisted. You've got more courage than any satire I've ever met. Name one who would dare go to the underworld. I bet Percy is really glad you're here right now. She kicked me in the shin. Yeah, I said, which I would have done without the kick. It's not luck that you found Talia and me, Grover. You've got the biggest heart of any satire ever. You're a natural searcher. That's why you'll be the one who finds Pan. I heard a deep, satisfied sigh. I waited for Grover to say something, but his breathing only got heavier. When the sound turned to snoring, I realized he had fallen asleep. How does he do that? I marveled. I don't know, Annabeth said, but that was a really nice thing you told him. I meant it. We rode in silence for a few miles, bumping around on the feed sacks. The zebra munched a turnip. The lion licked the last of the hamburger meat off his lips and looked at me hopefully. Annabeth rubbed her necklace like she was thinking deep, strategic thoughts. That pine tree bead, I said, is that from your first year? She looked. She hadn't realized what she was doing. Yeah, she said. Every August, the counselors picked the most important event of the summer, and they painted on that year's beads. I got Talia's pine tree. A Greek tritime on fire, a centaur in a prom dress. Now that was a weird summer. And the college ring is your father's? That's none of your... She stopped herself. Yeah, it is. You don't have to tell me. No, it's okay. She took a shaky breath. My dad sent it to me folded up in a letter 2 summers ago. The ring was like his main keepsake from Athena. He wouldn't have gotten through his doctoral program at Harvard without her. That's a long story. Anyway, he said he wanted me to have it. He apologized for being a jerk and said he loved me and missed me. He wanted me to come home and live with him. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, well, the problem was I believed him. I tried to go home for school that year, but my stepmom was the same as ever. She didn't want her kids put in danger by living with a freak. Monsters attacked, we argued. Monsters attacked, we argued. I didn't even make it through the winter break. I called Sharon and came right back to Camp Half-Blood. You think you ever try living with your dad again? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Please, I'm not into self-inflicted pain. You shouldn't give up, I told her. You should write him a letter or something. Thanks for the advice, she said coldly, but my father made his choice about who he wants to live with. We passed another few miles in silence. So if the gods fight, I said, will things line up the way they did with the Trojan War? Will it be Athena versus Poseidon? She put her head against the backpack Ares had given us and closed her eyes. I don't know what my mom will do. I just know I'll fight next to you. Why? Because you're my friend, Seaweed Brain. Any more stupid questions? I couldn't think of an answer for that. Fortunately, I didn't have to. Annabeth was asleep. I had trouble following her example, with Grover snoring and an albino lion staring hungrily at me, but eventually I closed my eyes. My nightmare started out as something I had dreamed a million times before. I was being forced to take a standardized test while wearing a straitjacket. All the other kids were going out to recess, and the teacher kept saying, "Come on, Percy, you're not stupid, are you? Pick up your pencil." Then the dream strayed from the usual. I looked over at the next desk and saw a girl sitting there also wearing a straitjacket. She was my age, with unruly black, punk-style hair, dark eyeliner around her stormy green eyes, and freckles across her nose. Somehow, I knew who she was. She was Talia, daughter of Zeus. She struggled against the straitjacket, glared at me in frustration, and snapped, "Well, seaweed brain, one of us has to get out of here." She's right, my dream self thought. I have to go back to that cavern. I'm going to give Hades a piece of my mind. The straitjacket melted off of me, and I fell through the classroom floor. The teacher's voice changed until it was cold and evil, echoing from the depths of a great chasm. "Percy Jackson," it said. "Yes, the exchange went well, I see." I was back in the dark cabin, spirits of the dead drifting around me. Unseen in the pit, the monstrous thing was speaking. But this time, it wasn't addressing me. The numbing power of its voice seemed directed somewhere else. "And he suspects nothing?" it asked. Another voice, one I almost recognized, answered at my shoulder. "Nothing, my lord. He is as ignorant as the rest." I looked over, but no one was there. The speaker was invisible. "Deception upon deception," the thing in the great pit mused aloud. "Excellent." "Truly, my lord," said the voice next to me. "You are well named the Crooked One. But was it really necessary? I could have brought you what I took directly." "You," the monster said in scorn. "You have already shown your limits. You would have failed me completely had I not intervened." "But my lord!" "Peace, little servant. Our 6 months have bought us so much. Zeus's anger has grown. Poseidon has played his most desperate card. Now we shall use it against him. Shortly you will have the reward you wish, and your revenge. As soon as both items are delivered into my hands. But wait, he is here." "What?" The invisible servant suddenly seemed tense. "You summoned him, my lord?" "No." The full force of the monster's attention was now pouring over me, freezing me in place. Blast his father's blood, he is too changeable, too unpredictable. The boy brought himself here. "Impossible!" the servant cried. "For a weakling such as you, perhaps," the voice snarled. Then its cold power turned back to me. "So, you wish to dream of your quest, young half-blood? Then I shall oblige." The scene changed. I was standing in a vast throne room with black marble walls and bronze floors. The empty, horrid throne was made from human bones fused together. Standing at the foot of the dais was my mother, frozen in shimmering golden light, her arms outstretched. I tried to step toward her, but my legs wouldn't move. I reached for her, only to realize that my hands were withering to bones. Grinning skeletons in Greek armor crowded around me, draping me with silk robes, wreathing my head with laurels that smoked with chimera poison burning into my scalp. The evil voice began to laugh. "Hail the conquering hero!" I woke with a start. Grover was shaking my shoulder. "The truck stopped," he said. "We think they're coming back to check on the animals." "Hide!" Annabeth hissed. She had it easy. She just put on her magic cap and disappeared. Grover and I had to dive behind feed sacks and hope we looked like turnips. The trailer doors creaked open. Sunlight and heat poured in. "Man," said one of the truckers, waving his hand in front of his ugly nose, "I wish we hauled appliances." He climbed inside and poured some water from a jug into the animals' dishes. "You hot, big boy?" he asked the lion, then splashed the rest of the bucket right in the lion's face. The lion roared with indignation. The lion roared. Yeah, the man said. Next to me under the turnip sacks, Grover tensed. For a peace-loving herbivore, he looked downright murderous. The tracker threw the antelope a squashed-looking Happy Meal bag. He smirked at the zebra. "How you doing, Stripes? At least we'll be getting rid of you this stop. You like magic shows? You're gonna love this one. They're gonna saw you in half." The zebra, wild-eyed with fear, looked straight at me. There was no sound, but as clear as day, I heard it say, "Freed me, Lord. Free me, please." I was too stunned to react. There was a loud knock, knock, knock on the side of the trailer. The trucker with us yelled, "What do you want, Eddie?" A man outside, must have been Eddie, shouted, "Maurice, what'd you say? What are you banging for?" Knock, knock, knock. Outside, Eddie yelled, "What banging?" Our guy Maurice rolled his eyes and went back outside, cursing at Eddie for being an idiot. Seconds later, Annabeth appeared next to me. She must have done the banging to get Maurice out of the trailer. She said, "This transport business can't be legal." "No kidding," Grover said. He paused as if listening. "The lion says these guys are animal smugglers." "That's right," the zebra's voice said, in my mind. "We've got to free them," Grover said. He and Annabeth both looked right at me, waiting for my lead. I had heard the zebra talk, but not the lion. Why? Maybe it was another learning disability. I could only understand zebras. Then I thought, horses. What had Annabeth said about Poseidon creating horses? Was a zebra close enough to a horse? Was that why I could understand it? The zebra said, "Open my cage, Lord, please. I'll be free after that." Outside, Eddie and Maurice were still yelling at each other, but I knew they'd be coming back inside to torment the animals again any minute. I grabbed Riptide and slashed the lock off the zebra's cage. The zebra burst out. It turned to me and bowed. "Thank you, Lord." Grover held up his hands and said something to the zebra in goat talk, like a blessing. Just as Maurice was poking his head back inside to check out the noise, the zebra leaped over him and into the street. There was yelling and screaming and cars honking. We rushed to the doors of the trailer in time to see the zebra galloping down a wide boulevard lined with hotels and casinos and neon signs. We had just released a zebra into Las Vegas. Maurice and Eddie ran after it, with a few policemen running after them, shouting, "Hey, you need a permit for that!" "Now would be a good time to leave," Annabeth said. "The other animals first," Grover said. I cut the locks with my sword. Grover raised his hands and spoke the same goat blessing he used for the zebra. "Good luck," I told the animals. The antelope and the lion burst out of their cages and went off into the streets. Some tourists screamed. Most just backed off and took pictures, probably thinking it was some kind of stunt by one of the casinos. "Will the animals be okay?" I asked Grover. "I mean, the desert and all?" "Don't worry," he said. "I placed a satire sanctuary on them." Meaning they'll reach the wild safely, he said. "They'll find food, water, shade, whatever they need until they find a safe place to live." "Why can't you place a blessing like that on us?" I asked. "It only works on wild animals." "So it would only affect Percy," Annabeth reasoned. "Hey," I protested. Kidding, she said. "Come on, let's get out of this filthy truck." We are going to stop there. I wonder if anything exciting is going to happen in the city of Las Vegas. We'll have to wait till Wednesday to find out. See you later. Bye.